It's Vakuu time. We've done a lot of the other ancient tier lists, and now we're going to move on to Vakuu's relics. A lot of people really hate him, and I think that you guys might be undervaluing him a little bit because Vakuu has some bangers in his relic pool. Yeah, he's got some stinkers too, and we're going to go through all of that, and I'm going to prove to you that Vakuu's pretty good. Let's start us off with Blood-Soaked Rose. Upon pickup, add 1 Enthralled to your deck. Gain 1 energy at the start of each turn. Enthralled is a curse. If this is in your hand, it must be played before all other cards. Eternal, and it costs 2 energy. This is not the art for Enthralled. I don't know what the Wikipedia has for the art, but I like it. We're going to drop the Blood-Soaked Rose into the good but could do better category. 1 extra energy at the start of each turn is phenomenal. It isn't as bad a relic as you think it probably is, though, because I know that most people really hate it and really don't want to deal with it. It could be argued that it is a deck dependent relic, but in reality, the decks that it depends on in order to be really, really strong are very few and far between. For a regular old deck, Blood-Soaked Rose is just not really good because that Enthralled really does kind of handcuff you. When you run into that curse, it might come at like the worst possible time. It's really tough. One deck that this Rose really works really well in is a Regent deck that has Tyranny. So the upgraded version of Tyranny does have Innate on it. So in that case, you want to take Blood-Soaked Rose like every single time, because the only time that it's really going to hurt you is if you happen to draw the Enthralled on the first turn. If you don't draw it on that first turn, you could play Tyranny right away, and whenever you end up drawing it, you can exhaust it easy peasy. The biggest problem with Enthralled is that you can't even really discard it. I mean, you can in a silent deck if you draw into it with an Acrobatics and then you discard it, but if it ends up being something that you draw on your turn just from like the 5 standard cards that you draw, you're gonna have to play the Enthralled first. You can't discard it. You can't play any 0-cost cards. It is really rough in terms of a curse. But if you do have some way that you can get around it, if you don't mind having to play it once every time you cycle through your deck, if you've got like 45 cards or something like that, and you're really not going to run into it very often, then Blood-Soaked Rose is very strong. But most of the time, most people don't have that situation. So it's going to be a little rough to kind of get the Enthralled in there and make it work. The second relic we're going to talk about is Whispering Earring. Gain 1 energy at the start of each turn. Vakuu plays your first turn for you. You might think I'm memeing, but this is going straight into the high value tier. Honestly, really close to a snap pick for me. The reason that I don't put it in the snap pick is because certain decks you really don't want Vakuu playing the turns for you. But if you don't know what Vakuu does, essentially what he does is he plays every single card in your opening hand from left to right. As long as he has the energy to play it, he's going to play the leftmost card every single time until he runs out of energy. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You're gaining an extra energy at the start of every single turn. Vakuu's only playing the turn for you once. We all know how valuable and how important it is to have extra energy. And we also know how hard it is to actually get energy, unless you're getting it from like cards and stuff like that. Like if you really don't need energy, you can pass on this. But a majority of the time, you probably want a little bit of extra energy, and you probably don't mind if Vakuu plays that very first turn for you, because he's still playing a bunch of cards. He's not necessarily playing everything in the perfect order, but, you know, you could kind of get away with it a lot of the times, and you're kind of just like happy to deal with it in that sense. The times you really don't want Vakuu to play the turn for you are like, you know, you got an exhaust deck on Ironclad because you don't want to run into the situation where he starts exhausting your best cards, your most important cards. I've done it. I've tried it, and it was fun, but it really wasn't like, it really wasn't very smart. to be honest. Whispering Earring is just the much better, much less risky version of Blood-Soaked Rose. This is a very mediocre downside. It probably doesn't really make too much of a difference in your deck if Vakuu does play out your cards for you, and you're gonna get yourself a chance to have extra energy. If you're too scared to play this because like you're new and you think that Vakuu does a really bad job or something like that, just give it a try. You know, you're going to have fun with it no matter what Vakuu playing out your first turn. It's just goofy fun. Even if it doesn't end up thrilling you, you're still going to have yourself a good time. And you might be surprised that Vakuu can really come through and help you out big time, especially in an energy-starved deck. Next up is the Fiddle. At the start of each turn, draw 2 additional cards. You may not draw cards during your turn. I have to say this with a little bit of a caveat, a little bit of a warning. I'm going to take Fiddle and drop it into the trap tier. There are going to be times where this is really, really good. Drawing additional cards, very, very good. You get to do it at the start of each turn. I personally don't really like it because a majority of the time, by the time I get to Act 3, I have a bunch of cards that give me draw, or I have some relics that give me draw, and Fiddle is going to prevent some of those things from working. There are some relics that do work with Fiddle, but a majority of the time that is not the case. Fiddle really prevents you from drawing, and I usually play decks that are very draw heavy. Fiddle is absolutely horrible for me in those situations. But if you're not playing that type of deck, if you're not doing that, Fiddle is not too bad. On these tier lists, I kind of have to nitpick and put things into tiers because essentially the goal for the lists is to talk about the relics and to discuss my thought process on them and to help maybe some new people make better choices. So for me personally, Fiddle is never really good. I can see the situation where this might be okay. I don't know, because I feel like a majority of the time you are going to have some sort of relic. You are going to have some sort of cards that are going to want to draw, and you're going to need them. And Fiddle prevents that from really working. I've never felt comfortable enough to make this work. I've never really had a situation where it didn't kind of handcuff me from doing the things that I normally do. But if you have no additional draw in your deck, you have no relics that give you draw, then maybe Fiddle is just really, really incredible in that spot. I just find it to be a super rare situation that you're not going to have something that's giving you a little bit of draw by the time you get to Act 3. Even in the situation where you don't necessarily have that draw, you could probably pick up a card or two to give you extra draw. So Fiddle is just really, really difficult to take in my opinion. Next up, Preserve Fog. Upon pickup, remove 3 cards from your deck, add Folly to your deck. Folly is an unplayable, innate, ethereal, eternal curse. So this is another curse that you cannot get rid of, very similar to Enthralled. The difference is this is easily a high value relic. And honestly, I struggled to not just throw it into Snap Pick. Removing 3 cards from your deck is incredibly, incredibly good. Yes, it gets replaced with a curse that can't be taken out of your deck. However, that curse is going to go away after the first turn because it's innate and because it's ethereal. Removing 3 cards from your deck is going to make your deck more consistent. It's going to let you get to your stronger cards a little bit quicker. And again, that Folly is going to go away after the first turn. Then you don't have to see it again for the rest of combat. Removing cards is so vital in Slay the Spire 2, especially as you go up in the higher ascensions. Even one of the negatives of the ascensions is that removes in shops become more expensive. Well, this is free. This is a relic that you could take that'll remove 3 cards from your deck, make things better, make your draws tighter, make your deck thinner, and you only have to deal with a curse on the first turn of each combat that disappears. Next up, we got another relic that I do not know how to pronounce. It is Sere Talon, Sere Talon. I don't know. Upon pickup, add 2 random curses and 3 wishes to your deck. You can see that Vakuu loves giving curses. Unlike Preserve Fog, unlike Blood-Soaked Rose, we do not know what curses those can be, but 3 wishes are incredibly valuable. A wish is a 0-cost card where you can put a card from your draw pile into your hand, and then this exhausts, and if you upgrade it, it is a retain card. Getting a chance to put any card from your draw pile directly into your hand is such an amazingly powerful effect that I'm going to go ahead and drop this right in the middle in deck or run dependent category. The problem with the Talon is that we don't know exactly what curses are going to be added. It could be a curse that doesn't really make a difference. It could be something like Guilty, which after 5 combats, it will automatically be removed. It could be just a simple ethereal curse that goes away. It's not going to be anything crazy like Enthralled. I do not believe that this could be an eternal curse at all. You can let me know in the comment section if that's wrong. Probably the worst curse that you can get, I think, from it is Normality, in which case go to the shop as soon as possible and go remove whichever curse is like really bad. You could get Doubt, which will weaken you. You could get the one that makes you frail that I can't think of right now. That was in both games, so I should know the name of it. But those 3 wishes are going to be super helpful in you pulling out the cards that you need when you need them. If your important power is at the bottom of your deck, well, the Talon's going to give you a chance to pull that card out a little earlier than you otherwise would have seen in the run. It's scary to gain 2 curses. It's really nice to gain 3 wishes. I think that this is going to fall like dead center of all the relics because there is a tremendous downside, but there is a huge upside with a ton of potential. I think that you can get away with taking this in most runs, probably. Hopefully by the time you're in Act 3 and you get these 3 curses, you kind of have ways to deal with them. You don't have to worry about them too much. It's definitely a scary prospect though, gaining 2 random curses that you don't know what the hell they are. But those wishes are such a powerful effect that it really negates the downside of it. Next up, Distinguished Cape. Upon pickup, lose 9 max HP, add 3 apparitions to your deck. An apparition is a 1-cost ethereal card that allows you to gain intangible, and then it exhausts once you play it. Intangible is reduce all damage taken and HP lost to 1 this turn. If you play an apparition, you're only taking 1 damage from each enemy, or at least 1 damage per hit. Like on a multi-strike hit, it'll go from like 10 times 3 to 1 times 3. That is unbelievably broken. This relic is undoubtedly the best relic that Vakuu offers. Yeah, you're losing 9 max HP. No one cares. You're gaining 3 different versions of a card that is going to make sure that you basically never take damage, at least for 3 turns. There are a lot of cool things that you can do with apparitions. If you somehow find a way to cut that exhaust off of them, this is a card that you can constantly redraw into, and you're never taking any damage. If you upgrade it, there's no ethereal on it, so drawing it at an inopportune time won't matter once you upgrade it because you can cycle through the deck and go get it again later. Apparitions are absolutely broken. They are ridiculous. To be able to take like no damage is absurd in this game. And it's something that is going to allow you to, I don't want to say easily win the run, but kind of like it kind of just like it's broken. Like apparitions is completely broken. If you've never taken it, try it out for sure. And if you have taken it, you know how strong apparitions are. Like, you know how absolutely broken they are, especially if you could take the exhaust off of one of them and you're just basically cycling through the deck and you're probably never taking damage at that point. Choices Paradox. At the start of each combat, add 1 of 5 random cards into your hand, add retain to the chosen card. This gets dropped right into high value. Getting offered 5 random cards at the beginning of a combat allows you to make an incredibly strong pick based on what enemy that you're facing. So if you have some damage issues, if you have some defense issues, if you have some scaling issues, if you have, I don't know, power issues or whatever, you're going to get a chance to pick a card that's going to help you at the beginning of combat. And even if you don't really love the pick, or even if it's a great pick and you shouldn't use it on this turn, it's going to have retain added to the card. This is such a valuable trait for any card to have, is to have retain. It is super valuable to be able to pick and choose a random card that you're going to add to your deck that you can use specifically to beat whatever boss or even hallway fight you have in front of you. If you've ever played Regent, you already know that having random cards created is very, very powerful. It is a game-winning, game-changing thing to have, especially since you get to choose out of those 5 cards. I have won many runs by having Choices Paradox offer me something that was specifically good to beat whatever boss was in front of me, and I was able to do it very easily. Choices Paradox is a very great relic, and if you've never tried it, I highly, highly encourage you to give it a whirl, because this is probably going to be a lot stronger than you realize. Music Box. Create an ethereal copy of the first attack you play each turn. This is getting dropped right into the deck dependent, run dependent. There's a lot of times where you don't play attacks in Slay the Spire. Like, that's not really your win condition. So Music Box is a little rough to take there. I mean, it's still probably fine to take because you do always at least have a little bit of an attack card. Those times where you have a massive, massive attack and you're going to get a chance to Music Box that and create an ethereal copy of that attack, and you get to play 2 of those big attacks on that turn. If this is your win condition, this is probably a snap pick. Music Box is incredibly, incredibly strong in those situations. Even in those situations where you have a few decent attacks, but nothing too crazy, Music Box probably going to help you out. There's no real downside to it. It's just, hey, you now have a second copy of this card that you could play on this turn, or, you know, it just disappears and you don't have to worry about it. It exhausts and you don't have it clogging up your deck. Maybe could be argued to be put into high value. Like, I think that Vakuu's relics are that strong that there could be arguments there. I just like it in the deck run dependent section because, you know, you're playing silent. You're probably got like no attacks, right? That's not really going to help you. You're playing some sort of orb build on defect. You're probably not really caring to like double your attacks. This is just very deck specific, and it kind of is just the very definition of it depends on what's in your deck and what's going on in your run. Next, we've got Lord's Parasol. Whenever you encounter the merchant, immediately obtain everything he sells. This is a snap pick in the fun department, but in reality, it is probably a trap. I know that it can be very, very strong to get every single card and every single relic in the shop. I understand that. It is very, very cool. It is super, super fun. If you pick it every single time you see it, I can't blame you for that. I'm not mad at it. I just think that this is definitely a trap card because a majority of the time, by the time you get to Act 3, you probably have a pretty well-rounded deck that maybe, you know, you got to take the edge off a little bit. You might have to remove a card or two here and there. You might have to add a card or two here and there. You don't want to beef up your deck with crap that's not going to help you. If you have too many cards in your deck, it might end up being the reason that you lose. I don't actually think that the trap relics are bad. I just think that they're traps. Like, I think that Fiddle is probably a trap because you most likely have some draw cards and some draw relics. And I think Lord's Parasol is a trap because it sounds really, really enticing, but it might mess up your deck. It might mess up your run. It might mess up everything that you're trying to accomplish. In those situations, it's just really not worth taking. But if you enjoy it, if you're having fun with it, if your whole goal is, hey, I want to take everything in the shop, I think that's super, super cool. Go for it. Like, just have fun. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just know that it might prevent you from actually winning the run. And the last relic to talk about, Jeweled Mask. At the start of combat, put a random power from your draw pile into your hand. It's free to play. Jeweled Mask, immediate, easy snap pick. Like, there's not even a question about it. By the time you get to Act 3, you probably have at least one power in your deck that's really important and really vital to you. If not, you have a bunch of powers that are really good and really important. What I find is that when I get to Act 3 and I get a chance at Jeweled Mask, usually I have like 3, 4, maybe 2 powers. Sometimes you only have 1, in which case Jeweled Mask is absolutely insanely broken, because usually if you only have 1 power, it's important. And now you could play it on turn 1 for free every single time. Even if you have 3 or 4, Jeweled Mask is going to give you one of those powers for free and allow you to just be able to play it on the first turn to get yourself started in a good direction. Powers are the most important, most powerful cards in all of Slay the Spire 2. And they are also cards that are going to slow you down and possibly cause you to take extra damage, because they don't let you block on the turns that you play them, or they don't let you attack on the turns that you play them. Well, now Jeweled Mask allows you to do all of the above. You know, you get to play an important power for free, and that allows you to use your other energy on attacks, on block cards, on whatever else you need. This is absolutely amazing, and it's also allowing you to play that power right away as soon as you walk into that combat, which is also very powerful. Jeweled Mask is just like, honestly, one of the best relics in the entire game. If you enjoyed this video, please go check out some of my other tier lists. Go check out some of my runs. Check out the whole channel. We got a million things on here, guides, everything that you can need for Slay the Spire. I appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching.